Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jackson Sorensen, and I am the Vice President of Students with a Purpose, or SWAP. We, the SWAP leadership team, are going to be sharing with you an update on a team development intervention we conducted last year and how it impacted our strategic planning and current initiatives for the 2020-2021 academic year in hopes that you will identify tools that are helpful for your own teams. To start, we want to delve into why team development is important. Research shows that efficient teams lead to successful organizations. According to Tuckman, there are 5 stages of team development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, and teams must go through the first 3 stages before they can be considered ready and able to perform. Essentially, Tuckman means that teams are the foundation of the work an organization does. So if they are dysfunctional and not working efficiently, it leads to the outcomes or products of an organization being reduced in quality. This is why it is important that organizations take the time to develop and support their teams. While development may take time away from working on projects, the return on investment to the overall success of the organization is worth it. Due to this information, we understand the importance of good leadership. Overall, a team serves as the foundation of projects and organizational planning. Our leadership style at SWAP is unique because while we have a designated leader in the role of president, we don't have just one person leading or calling the shots. We all lead with each other, and we are all allowed to express our own opinions and ideas regarding teamwork. Being on a team where voices are heard and all concerns are taken into account makes us more open to change and has been a large component in our own development. And now, Dylan is going to tell you a little bit more about SWAP.
Thank you, Jackson. Before we can really jump into the development of our team, it's important you understand exactly who our team is. First, an introduction to SWAP is necessary. SWAP stands for Students with a Purpose, and we are a student club at Central Washington University. We formed this group in fall 2019, and our mission is centered around engaging students and community members in nonprofit and social entrepreneurship-based work. Our team is made up of 5 leaders: Spencer Clifton, SWAP President; Jackson Sorensen, Vice President; Leana St. Clair, Treasurer; Amy Morris, Social Media Director; and myself, Dylan Gilbert, Secretary. Our greatest strength and what we contribute our success to is the fact that our team is interdisciplinary. We have students coming from each college on our campus, and we have a variety of disciplines represented, such as business administration, supply chain management, liberal studies, public relations, information technology and administrative management, sociology, fashion, retail merchandising, communication, and nonprofit management. This is most useful when it comes to the strategic planning for SWAP because it ensures that a diverse set of perspectives and experiences are represented in the planning process. On to you, Leanna.
Thank you, Dylan. As was previously stated, we are currently in our second year of team development. Last year, when SWAP was first formed, there was a lot of upheaval surrounding leadership roles, and the vision of SWAP and the vision of the club got lost in the shuffle. To combat the chaos, a situation analysis consisting of a SWOT analysis and a communication assessment were conducted to gain insight into the challenges the team was facing and to gauge the overall communication style of our group. The needs of the club became apparent when looking at the results of the situation analysis. A team development intervention, TDI, was tailored to fit SWAP's needs. First, in order to address confusion regarding role responsibilities, a multi-week role clarity exercise was conducted at leadership meetings. Next, in order to address communication issues, a channel of communication was chosen that was both transparent and accessible to everyone on the team. Additionally, expectations and norms for leadership meetings were set in order to clear up miscommunications. Last, before the situation analysis, all club business was conducted during club meetings. But in order to address team development and related tasks, a leadership meeting was introduced into the schedule. These decisions helped increase transparency in the verbal and written internal communication. This content all fell under the team building portion of the TDI. At the end of winter quarter, individual meetings were scheduled to talk to each member of the leadership to evaluate the impact of role clarity exercises and to see how they felt about the new pathways of communication. For example, if they felt they were being heard, if they could speak freely. These meetings also examined whether groupthink was present in communication. This content fell under the team debriefing portion of the TDI. Overall, the outcome of these individual meetings demonstrated the following needs. While transparency and general communication was found helpful, team members wanted more transparency in regards to project task communication. Additionally, there was a request for more structure in the way of rules, guidelines, and expectations. There was also a request that the group focus on maintaining the healthy communication development through the TDI. Furthermore, now that the team was communicating effectively, they wanted to direct future focus towards strategic planning. Last, a lot of focus had been placed on the group as a whole, and team members expressed a need for more individual performance measures and individual professional development. Spencer is up next to talk about the balanced scorecard method.
Due to the request for a larger focus on strategic planning, we decided to utilize the Balanced Scorecard method developed by Kaplan and Norton. According to the Harvard Business Review, 70% of businesses utilize this method. The overall goal of using the BSM is to provide balance through 4 perspectives: stakeholder management, internal processes, learning and growth, and financial stability. Stakeholder management allows us to improve and sustain our relationship with the stakeholders of the club. The goal is to connect pre-existing members while providing new members with engaging content and providing new resources and opportunities for future members, students, community members, and nonprofits we are currently collaborating with. Internal processes looks at the internal team development of SWAP. We focus on the leadership team development setting to accomplish the goals we created for the organization. Learning and growth really focus on team development to better serve our community and stakeholders. We also focus on strengthening the leadership team's professional development so we can continue to also learn, grow alongside, and serve our community. Last, financial stability focuses on the financial growth of the organization in order to keep the club sustainable. So why is the balanced scorecard method a good method for SWAP? Well, in this instance, SWAP functions similarly to how a nonprofit organization would. We fit under the umbrella of our institution, which is Central Washington University. So in forming a club, a constitution with a mission statement, goals, and bylaws that set the rules for the governance of our organization are required. We are then able to fundraise, apply for grants, and accept dues or fees from members of the organization. So because we operate so closely to a nonprofit under the umbrella of our institution, the balanced scorecard method makes sense in evaluating our strategic planning so we are constantly improving and evolving as an organization. Using the balanced scorecard method, we built a strategy map. This helps us see all 4 perspectives and make sure that we are balanced in our objectives. For stakeholder management, our objectives this year were to provide professional development opportunities for both club members and community members, to increase nonprofit education, and transition to being a remote or a virtual club. You will see that our objectives lead to a list of initiatives. Each initiative is something that we developed to focus on accomplishing. We are about 2/3 of the way through the year, and at the end, we will evaluate each initiative to determine our success in utilizing the measures and targets attached to each objective. We are still working with these initiatives and are not at the final outcome evaluation stage of this process. For learning and growth, our objectives were to increase outreach and recruitment to new members and incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. As you all know, this has been a very busy year. And on top of COVID, DEI work has been a large focus for the organization. We felt like this was important to bring to our SWAT members and larger community, as well as provide the tools to move forward with this knowledge into our own careers. In addition, we also took into consideration internal processes and financial stability. Our internal processes goals were to develop the leadership team's professional skills and to improve and maintain the communication amongst members of the leadership team. For financial stability, our objective was to increase our base by increasing things like membership dues and our grant funding. We are still working on these objectives and initiatives, so we do not have solidified outcomes, but Amy is going to update you on our progress thus far in relation to our target outcomes.
To start, we have work that is dedicated to the objectives for internal processes. Our target for this year was to hold 1 professional book study, in which we succeeded. Spending time building our leadership within our team is very important. And one way we helped build these skills was by reading the book Manager Day to Day and conducting a group book study. This book study was conducted during our winter break, and we read 3 to 4 chapters each week, and then discussed it through video discussions in Flipgrid, writing Roman notes, and virtual group discussions during our weekly meeting. This book helped us be open about our professional struggles and learn how to manage our time better. It also helped us stay connected during break and maintain our momentum instead of disengaging with each other. Next, we also have focused work on dedicated to the objectives for stakeholder management, starting with the development of a nonprofit educational workshop series. We started this year by covering the basics of nonprofit, then we moved on to grant writing, and then the most recent workshop we focused on was SMART goals. Through these workshops, we want to help students develop professional skills that assist them in the nonprofit or social entrepreneurship field. This workshop series is also beneficial for smaller, under-resourced nonprofits looking for professional development opportunities. Our target for this objective was to host at least 4 workshop sessions this year. And based on our spring quarter schedule, we will exceed that target. Another thing that was very important to us were the initiatives focused on learning and growth. First, in the form of incorporating diversity, equity, and inclusion, both in leadership, development, and club events. We want SWAP to be a place where everyone feels welcome and included. As you can see here, we put on multiple workshops that promoted impactful conversations. A couple of topics we discussed were activism and how to be an activist in your local community. We talked about sexual orientation, specifically coming out in the workplace and figuring out your workplace dynamic, and if that's somewhere you would feel safe coming out. We hosted a discussion on gender differences in motherhood, specifically in academia. We have talked about data privacy and ethics in regards to web and internet. We have also talked about privilege, which has been a key conversation about a lot of topics we discussed this year. We talked about understanding our own privilege and power and how to utilize that in a beneficial way. We talked a lot about voting too and had a lot of content surrounding that because of the upcoming election that was happening at the time. These images here demonstrate just a few of the topics and conversations we had the opportunity to focus on this year. While our end goal was to have at least 50% of the meetings consist of DEI topics, 68% of our meetings have met that criteria. Regarding learning growth, it was important we go beyond club and event meeting content and focus on outreach to recruit new members, and we have seen a lot of growth. Our main way of recruitment used to be tabling, where we could connect and talk to students on campus who were interested in joining the club. Now, since we're completely virtual, we have extra meetings that are called Take a Break. These meetings involve doing activities such as coloring, meditation, and just taking a break from their regular life. From those meetings, along with the topics we discussed in our club, we saw an increase in attendance. As you can see in the fall, we had about 12 attendees. Then the winter, the average went up to 14. And now in the spring, we have around 23 attendees. And we expect to see that number either maintained or increase throughout the rest of the quarter. We have had great representation in different colleges on campus attending these events as well, which is great because it makes it more inclusive. Last, being in a virtual world, we decided to put a lot of time and effort into growing our social media accounts. Specifically, Instagram is where students are most active. As you can see in September, we started with 250 followers, and at this point, we have 2,292 followers, which exceeds our original target outcome of 1,000 followers for this objective. This growth is a mixture of natural growth and strategic decisions made in regards to media content, engagement, and following. As you can see by the graphs, we've kept within our target audience that are within the age and location of CW students. Our Instagram helped promote upcoming meetings, along with providing resources for important causes that were happening in the world.
Just as Amy shared, we have made significant progress in regards to our initiatives so far, but we would be remiss to not mention the impact of COVID. COVID had a significant impact on us as a leadership team. First, we had to change our format and go completely virtual. While virtual expansion and incorporation was an initial goal of ours to increase inclusivity of our club to online and center-based students, we were not prepared to go completely remote. With COVID, it pushed this priority and the level of expansion forward. Along with this, we had to also restructure our other goals and priorities. Some of our goals and objectives from last year could not be reflected onto a virtual platform So we had to make the decision to either move forward and adapt certain goals to our new format or delay them until we were in a space where we could continue working on them. Outside of goals and objectives, our communication was also affected. We were used to seeing each other either in class or on campus between meetings. Without these impromptu, additional moments of communication, we had to find a way to relay messages and responses while being very intentional. This new format not only impacted our internal communication, but our external communication as well. Before COVID-19, our main source of outreach was tabling. We realized that outreach was way more important than ever, and we needed to adapt to this new format, which led to the development of our Take a Break outreach events. Last, COVID led to an increase in empathy and compassion between team members. With the pandemic came additional stressors in both the personal and academic lives of team members, and we learned that it was important for us to be more flexible. This year, there were times where team members had to take a step back, and as a group, we learned how to adapt to those moments, but also how to make space for those members to re-enter when they were able to. Overall, we realized that as a team, if we had not started making our own development a priority last academic year, we would not have had the capability to take on the challenges that COVID presented to us today. Thank you for your time. Hopefully we have offered some insight into team development, and if you have any questions, please submit them in the comment section below. We look forward to answering them.